Transitioning from our 20s to our 30s changes our outlook and perspective on life in so many ways, especially when it comes to our health. While we might have a little more emotional stability now and we might finally feel a little closer to being a fully functioning adult, we don't necessarily feel as invincible in our bodies. Things don't feel like they're constantly on the up and up anymore. And we start to realize that we have to get ahead of any potential age-related declines. And this is especially the case for women as we start to think about perimenopause being just around the corner and needing to plan so that we still feel great even when we experience these inevitable natural hormonal changes. So in addition to all of the usual adulting changes that I experienced when I got into my 30s, like not really staying up past 10 p.m., making larger contributions to my Roth IRA, and preferring a quiet night out to a night at a bar or club, here are the 5 main changes that I made to my health routine in my 30s that helped me to feel stronger and happier, and how you can take a page out of my book to protect your energy and your hormone levels so that you might even feel better in your 30s than you did in your 20s. I'm Karina, I'm a health and movement coach, and welcome to my channel where we discuss practical ways to elevate our wellness from a mind, body, soul perspective. The first change that I made in my 30s that helped me to have more energy throughout the day was that I stopped working out fasted and I reduced the amount and the duration of my fasts in general. I used to fast for really long periods, 22 to 24 hours, and I noticed that it would tank my metabolism. I would lose my appetite for days afterwards. And I also noticed that this habit got me into a feast or famine approach, where I would fast really long and then I would gorge myself afterwards because I felt so hungry. It turns out that excessive fasting can elevate baseline cortisol levels, which can increase fat storage, fatigue, cause inflammation, and a whole host of other health issues. And then when it came to working out fasted, this wasn't a problem for me in my 20s, but as I got into my 30s, I noticed that I would wake up dreading working out. And then when I would work out, I wouldn't be able to hit my movement goals in the same ways. For males, working out fasted can be great. For females, we actually need a certain amount of circulating amino acids to tell the hypothalamus in our brain that it's safe to challenge our body. So instead, I started eating when it was light outside. I timed my meal times with my circadian rhythm. That meant that I still gave my digestive system a break. I was still fasting to some degree, but it was more early time-restricted feeding, where I would stop eating at 6 p.m. and then I wouldn't eat again until around 8 a.m. the next morning. And I also started timing my protein and carb intake with my workouts. I would get in a little bit of protein before working out through something that was easily digestible, like a whey protein powder, about 15 grams of this. And then in the 30 minutes after my workout, that's when I would eat my traditional breakfast and make sure I was getting in the 30 grams of protein that was going to contribute to muscle rebuilding and recovery. I was influenced a lot in terms of nutrient timing by Dr. Stacy Sims' work. She's done a lot of work with nutrient timing for female physiology specifically. Eating in this way gave me so much more power when I was lifting weights and doing my yoga and arm balances, and it helped me to gain so much more muscle. Muscle is one of our biggest assets when it comes to longevity and aging well. Now, does this mean that you should follow my exact fasting and nutrient timing? Maybe, maybe not. Fasting is pretty bio-individual, meaning that it works differently for different people, even beyond the female and male differences. So my best recommendation would be if you're fasting a lot and it's working for you, you're not feeling depleted, then keep doing what you're doing. If you feel like a change is warranted, assess the research and the literature around the health decisions that you're trying to make, or listen to videos like this from someone like me who's studied nutrition and movement for years and who spends a lot of time on PubMed reading articles, who can summarize the main takeaways and the mechanism of action, why this works, generally speaking. And if it all makes sense, then try it out for yourself and see if it works for your unique body. And I'll leave a couple of research articles in the video description as well so that you can check those out for yourself. I have a whole video on how to approach this method. If anytime you're deciding to make any significant change in your health routine, look at the research in the literature or someone who's summarized it for you. Look at the mechanism of action and see, does it make sense that this would be a benefit? And then try it out yourself. And the video that goes into more detail about this approach is linked here. The second change that I made in my 30s that boosted my hormones significantly was that I stopped avoiding carbs and high sugar whole foods. When I was in my 20s, both when I was vegan and when I became omnivore, I was still really low carb. I would avoid high glycemic foods like honey and high sugar fruits. And whatever carbs I ate came mostly from vegetables, and I'll talk a little bit later about the specific role of vegetables in all of this. And the result was that my hormones were super low. My thyroid hormones were low, as well as estrogen and progesterone. Testosterone was a little bit higher, and we all need testosterone, including females, but we want it to be in balance with estrogen and progesterone. I was also pretty skinny, and I had lost all of my curves that I used to have. When I started to strategically incorporate more carbs into my diet, including rice cooked in bone broth, a wide range of fruits, and even a little bit of honey, especially during certain times in my menstrual cycle, cycle, like ovulation, which is the middle of the cycle, and the luteal phase, which is the week leading up to menstruation. Those are both times when the body is best supported by more carbs and more nutrition in general. When I started timing my carbs in this way, I noticed that my hormone levels increased, both thyroid and female sex hormones, my metabolism improved, and I got my curves back. The third change I made was a benefit to both my body and my soul, and that was that I returned to my movement first love, which is dancing. So up until that point, I was checking off all of the boxes of what I thought my workout routine should be: weight and resistance training, high intensity workouts, sprints, all these kinds of things. I was doing a lot of yoga as well, which I love. I'm a yoga teacher, but I hadn't been doing a lot of dancing, especially in my late 20s. So when I regularly incorporated dancing into my life again, it connected me with the sense of joy and connected me to my authentic self in a way that I hadn't felt in a long time. And it's so important to keep that childlike sense of joy by connecting to those things that you love to do when you were younger. Something that's just for you, something that you're not using to get to some sort of fitness goal. This is something that's especially important if you're someone who's not that excited about fitness in general. If you find it hard to motivate yourself to go work out, doing something that you love that you don't traditionally view as fitness per se, it's just getting your heart pumping, that's a great way to then naturally gravitate towards the techniques and tools that are going to help you be better at that thing that you love to do. Whether that's mobility work or conscious muscle control, you're training your body for an activity that you love to do, and that makes it a whole lot easier. The fourth change that I made was I started to see electrolytes as just as important as protein. When I was in my 20s, it was all about getting in enough protein and healthy fats. When I started to incorporate more electrolytes, potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium, phosphorus into my diet through things like spring water, adding salt to my water, drinking bone broth, and incorporating raw dairy. All of this helped with my energy levels and also with blood sugar control, because hydration and magnesium are crucial to stable blood sugar levels. As a result, even when I was working out pretty hard and I had a full schedule, I had enough energy throughout the day and I was able to fall asleep very easily at night. Number 5 was that I finally let go of the notion that I needed to fill half of my plate with vegetables. This didn't mean that I stopped eating vegetables. I still enjoy them, but we do want to be mindful of the fact that many plants contain what are called antinutrients. These are plant defense chemicals that discourage you from eating them because plants can't physically fight back. This is their defense mechanism. And these antinutrients, consistent with their name, mean that the inherent nutrients in the plants are a lot less bioavailable for us. They're a lot less readily available for the body to use. So some of these anti-nutrients include oxalates, lectins, saponins. And when we're talking about hormone health, especially thyroid health, we want to be particularly watchful for what are called goitrogenic foods. These are vegetables traditionally from the brassica family, kale, cabbage, broccoli, that inhibit the uptake of iodine, which is an essential nutrient for thyroid function. So I started to limit the number of large raw kale and broccoli salads that I was eating, and I noticed that my T3 and T4 levels, which are the biologically active form of thyroid hormone, improved dramatically. Now, just like I mentioned with the fasting, if you're eating a lot of these vegetables raw and you're feeling great and your thyroid hormones are looking great, then there's no need to change anything. But if you are experiencing hormonal issues, and specifically with your thyroid, then it might be something to look at. And if you love these vegetables, you don't have to give them up entirely. Soaking, sprouting, and or fermenting these foods releases a lot of the anti-nutrients in them. This is actually the way that these foods were prepared ancestrally to make them more nutritious. So there you have it. These were the 5 changes that I made when I entered my 20s to preserve muscle, feel stronger, have more energy, and a better metabolism than I did even in my 20s. And if you want to experience the same, then start to look at your meal times and align them with your circadian rhythm. Prioritize electrolytes just as much as protein. Make sure that you're including enough whole food, healthy carbohydrates to support you, especially during certain times of your menstrual cycle if you have one. Be mindful of anti-nutrients and make sure that your diet is supporting your hormones. And find time for a movement activity that you absolutely love to do, that connects you to the soul level version of yourself and encourages a childlike sense of play. And if you want to dive deeper specifically in the nutrition and movement pieces, then I have a masterclass. It's called the Masterclass for Superhuman Level Health, which goes into the specific detail of how you can construct a nutrition nutrition and movement plan that is going to support thriving health, help you to have more energy, greater peace of mind, and love how you feel in your body. The link to that is going to be in the description box. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with someone else who might be making their transition into their 30s and they still want to feel strong and vibrant, or really someone at any age who just wants to optimize their health. If you want to learn about more ways to feel amazing in your body and your mind, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. Lots of love, and I'll talk to you soon.